Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is Waga. Now, we still in the playlist are building the app that you can see on your right. It's an Instagram clone, but there is one thing I wanted to fix that I thought would be really important. What it is, it's the auto scroll. I wanted to make it exactly like chat apps. When you send a new message, like for example, this is our current app in its current state, and this will just be a short video showing how to auto scroll, right? How we can implement auto scroll using combine and using the on appear and combine, right? So how we would do this is currently in our app when we send a message, like we send a message like so and hit send, it doesn't show, and you have to scroll to the bottom to actually see the message, right? We want to make this scrolling automatic whenever a user sends a message, right? And that's what we want to do. So a quick overview is we're still building the app. We haven't gotten to this point, and we'll probably get to the chat functionality in the video, in the 20-something video. I'm still editing the videos. I'm not done editing. I think we're still a whiles away, right? And they're going to be 30-something videos in the entire series, right? As I foresee it, before we make any maybe other changes. But I thought that this would be a quick change, and because I couldn't find any good sources of information on how to solve this, I thought I'd put out this video so that it can help somebody else. So how we would automatically scroll. For you to know how this works is that we have a chat service that governs this, and in it we have a published variable that we're looking at. The chat service, of course, is an observable object, and this contains an array of chat, an array called chat. And if we come to chat, we find our model with our chat, our details on what the chats contain, like that, and yeah, basically that. And all that is included in the chat view. Now in the chat view there's a bunch of things which we will get to if you're watching the video, but this is specifically about the auto scroll, so we will ignore all this. We come to the vstack where there is the body, right? And we check if the chat service.chats, I believe we have a state object. Do we have a state? Yeah, we have a state object called chat service, right? We instantiate the chat service, and we come here and we check if the chat service, if it's not empty, or rather we check if it has something inside it, right? So that's what this line of code, line 75, if not chat service or chat is empty, we have a scroll view, then in it we have a ScrollViewReader, and we have a value, and we take each message, the ID, we use the message ID as the ID, and then we take the chat, and we check if it's a photo, we put the photo chat, we have a, I don't know how to call them, a component. Let's call them a component. I use the word component. I know that's React. I have a React background. But yeah, aside from that, we have a text chat. So depending on whether it's an image, the images will look like this, or the text will look like that. And depending on whether it is the user or not the user, the color will change, right? But that's beside the point. What we want to do is actually here on the on appear, right? So what we could do is we could come to the on appear, and what we would do is we would say we could create a variable for cancellables, right? So we could come here and we could say first we have to import combine, right? So we import combine like so. We could say import combine like so, and we come here and we import combine, and we come here and we have a state. We could say private, spell it correctly, var, and we say cancellables, like so. They can just be cancelled, and this is going to be any cancelable, like so. And yeah, and we come down and we are going to use it in our on appear, right? And first thing we could do is we could get rid of this line, like so. And when you get rid of that line, we could say cancellables, and I think we're going to cancellables and what cancellables are in the in a previous video when we were setting up, what are they called? When you're setting up the session store. When you're setting up the session store, we go over cancellables in a view in a bit. So just wait, that video is not yet ready for YouTube. I've not edited it, but I'll edit it and post it. So we go into cancellables. We use it in the session store when we're setting up. But if you want to get it, I'm sure if you just look online, there's a really good article on Medium on cancellables. Just search for SwiftUI Medium cancellables. You'll get more information on this, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into the chat service, and we're going to bind it to the charts like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the sync, right? And if I can quickly explain, a sync is just a sync is what receives data from the publisher and deals with it. Like for example, if you think of the publisher as being a tap, the sync is the place where the data actually goes, and then from there you do something to it, right? So we have our chat service like you saw, and we are observing it. So basically this is publishing our data and we are receiving it in the sync. So basically that is a high level overview of what that is, right? So from here we could come and say chat in, this is a closure, so I'm guessing from here you're following, and we could just say dispatch queue.main.async, like so. And what we could do next is we could add this with animation. We could use a bit of animation to make the scrolling a bit easier, right? So you could say with animation, like so. This is not a must, but you could actually do it, right? So what we would do is we would say value, and the value comes from in the scroll reader, in the what's it called, in the closure we use value here. So that's what we're doing here. So we have value, and we could scroll to a specific point, and we want to scroll to the bottom, right? So we could say scroll to, and what we want to scroll to is chat, and here we have we could say chat dot end index, so at the end of the index, and we subtract 1, so that will be the very last message. And after that we are going to use the message ID. We could say message ID. That's what we're going to scroll down to, and we're going to anchor it. Okay, I think I made a boo-boo here. We're supposed to add this here, right, in the message ID. So we say message ID, like so, and we're supposed to anchor it at the bottom, right? So we say anchor, like so, and this is going to be at the bottom, the very bottom, like so. So basically that, why is it, oh, we're supposed to give it equal space. This is Swift, I forget. So we give the sign, the subtraction sign equal space, and if we do this, right, so I've explained cancellables, I explained in another video, and I've explained what a sync is. So if you do this, in theory, every time you send a message, it should scroll to the very last message, right? Now, we first have to make sure that there's something in the chat, otherwise you'll get an error if you try initiating a conversation with someone. So what we could do in our code before we actually test it out is say if chat.count, and we put a comma there, and we give it some space, like so, and we come here and we check where does this end, like so, add another one there, like that. So we do this, make sure that there's something in our array before we actually try to do this, so that we can start off. It will work if we already have a conversation with a person, but if we do not have a conversation with a person, this might be problematic. So let's continue. So for that, so basically, yeah, what I found is that let's go, I deleted these images, that's why they're not here, but I didn't cascade the delete, right? So if we come here, we immediately scroll to the bottom. The method I found in what's it called, in Stack Overflow, does not automatically scroll every time you send a message, right? So it only scrolls at the beginning. So we wanted it to scroll every time, and that's why we're using dispatch queue, and we're using a sync, right? And how we would do that is maybe let's add a new message, let's say new message, and see if it will scroll, and hit that, and automatically scrolls. So now every time we send a message, it automatically scrolls to the bottom, right? And yeah, and that's how, for example, you would take care of that minor niggling issue of when you build a chat, when you build a chat or any other product that you want it to automatically scroll every time you do an action. That's how you would do it. You just put an on appear in a ScrollViewReader and use combine to do this. So basically that. Thank you for watching. I know this video is a bit shorter than the others, and I glossed over a lot of things, but I thought that this is a pretty neat way to do something that seemed challenging at first, but now seems straightforward. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.